Well, hello, 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 hello. Welcome to another episode of the Speak Black Woman podcast. Guess what? We're still in a pandemic, so that means you are quarantining with Quinn. And like I always like to share with you, I like to bring the best, the brightest, the boldest people that I know who are making moves as Black women in business who are also passionate about making a profit from public speaking. And today, our guest will not disappoint. Dr. Laura Lois will be joining us for this episode of the Speak Black Woman podcast. So if you know for a fact that you've been sitting at home, you've been on that couch, you've been watching people rock that virtual, rock that hybrid, rock that in-person podium, you're like, you know what? I want to go from the couch to the podium. I want to be the one speaking and teaching and training and shifting lives. You definitely want to be a part of this particular episode. If this is your very first time catching an episode of the Speak Black Woman podcast, go ahead and put first time in the comments. However, if you've been rocking and rolling me, maybe it's your second time, your third time, or your 25th time, you are officially family. Go ahead and put tribe in the comments. And if you are listening at your leisure, maybe you're working out, maybe you're in the car, maybe you're picking up the kids, or maybe you're cooking and you're listening to this right now, that is okay. I'm so excited that you are here. And if you ever want to catch any episodes, you can go to speakblackwoman.com, or again, go to your Android or your iPhone and search for the Speak Black Woman podcast, and you can listen, binge watch, binge listen, however you want to do it. So Dr. Laura Lois is going to be our guest today. I'm going to bring her on up, and then I'm going to introduce her, and then we're going to have a fabulous conversation on how you can be a compelling communicator going from the couch to the podium. And the reason why this is so important, because a lot of us, maybe we're not on a physical couch, but we in a chair, we in a bed, we watching somebody do what we want to do. We watching people motivate and inspire and empower. And deep down inside, we want the mic. Like, we really want the mic, but maybe we don't know how to get started. Maybe we don't know who to connect with. You are in the right place. And as we are, sorry, somebody wants to call me right now. We got a couple of people who are joining us. We got Mia Orange, who says tribe. We got somebody said they cooking. We got Reverend Sherry Lupton says that she is a part of the tribe. Yes, she is. Shout out to Lancaster, Pennsylvania, where I am from, and where Miss Dr. Reverend Sherry Lupton is as well. So let me go ahead and bring up Dr. Laura Lois. I'm going to introduce her, and we're going to get this conversation started. So for those of you who are not familiar with Dr. Laura Lois, she is a licensed psychologist. She graduated from Florida State University with a bachelor's in psychology and a master's in counseling. She also, y'all, earned her PhD from Howard University, where I went to school and got my master's, which I love. So she's been in the field of psychology for over 10 years. But I'm going to tell you something. I think in addition to working with people and getting their mind right, she also has a passion for public speaking like me. So you already know we cut from the same cloth. So what she does is she teaches business owners how to get paid to speak by hosting their own virtual events and being booked for virtual conferences that creates exposure and generates income. And she has had some of the top, brightest, and best speakers on her platform. And ultimately, if you want to go to the couch to the podium, this is the person that you need to talk to. So Dr. Laura Lois, welcome, welcome, welcome to the Speak Black Woman podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I just love the space that you have created. And so I'm excited to be here.
Yes, me as well. Listen, we got Robin who says tribe. If you guys are just joining, go ahead and click the button for StreamYard so I can see your comments. So I see a hey, Quinn, long time. Good to see you. I'm just going to say hey because I can't see who this is, but I'm happy that you are here. So Dr. Laura Lois, you are in the field of psychology, but you also have a passion for public speaking. And one of the things that I tell everyone who I work with, that no matter what field that you're in, I mean, you could be a dog walker, you could be a butterfly catcher, you could be a psychologist, you can be an author or a coach. And I believe that speaking is always an asset to your business. So how did you get involved and started using your voice in your career?
So the way it started was I was working a job. I was working at Georgia State University as a college counselor. And I felt like, there has to be more. I don't know if anybody in your audience, type of one in the comments, if you've ever felt like there's got to be more, Jesus. Like, it has to be more. It has to be more. And so I was in that space, feeling like I knew that I wanted to help more people. but also being tied to the job. And I liked my job. I really did like being a counselor, but I wanted to own my own business. And so I ended up pitching this organization to train other psychologists to do couples therapy. And so they signed a proposal with me to do this 30 city contract, and they flew me all around the world, and I would just go in and do my thing. And then other therapists start saying, like, how'd you get started with that? Like, how'd you book Wall Street Journal or ABC? Like, how did that come about? And so that's when I started Couch to Podium from there.
No, that's really, really good stuff. So let's talk about that for a second, because at the Speak Black Woman podcast, we are all about teaching Black women in business, how to profit from public speaking. And people want to get straight to the profit. Like, I just want to open up my mouth and I want to make some money. So for those people who are like, all right, I'm on the couch, I'm at the podium, why I ain't making any money? So what are some of those things that people need to have in place before they start asking for those coins, before they start asking for that money? Because it seems like people kind of wake up and like they're on the mic, but there is a process. You had to have your ducks in a row. It wasn't just like, we're going to fly you around 30 cities and you was raggedy. It wasn't like that. What are some of the things that you had in place that will have a company or a corporation say, you know what, we want to take you around so you can, basically train these other people how to be great couples therapists? Like, what are those things that you need before you get to the podium? So maybe from the couch to the counter, then to the podium.
I love it. I love talking to you, because y'all are part of Quinn's community. I'm gonna give you some of the background. So, I was on food stamps, and I was like, you know what? I feel like God has not called me to this life of poverty. I knew I had experienced it in childhood, and I was like, I'm not called to experience it again in life. And so for me, I was like, okay, what do I need to do so that this is not my portion in life? So what I did was I started to build my brand. And I think you're right. I think sometimes people want to get to the money so quick that they skip steps. And so for me, I had to build my brand without spending a whole lot of money. And so I ended up going to this site, Groupon. Maybe you guys have heard of it. I'm a baller on a budget. I like to save money. So I went to Groupon and I did a photo shoot, and they must have taken like 100 photos, and then I picked like 5 of them. And I think that's one thing that people oftentimes skip, is the importance of establishing some brand credibility. And so if someone is paying you to speak, you can't send them like selfies as your headshot. Like, boo, go ahead and invest a few dollars and get you some professional headshots. So that was one thing. And then another thing that I did is I got a video reel that really helped establish my brand as a speaker. Getting a video reel, getting headshots, getting a speaker sheet. Those are some of the brand elements that I needed to have so that I could start charging high dollar for speaking engagements.
No, I love it. And you're so right. Having those brand assets, people want these, ridiculous honorariums. And I tell people all the time, it's like, I'm still like, I don't know. Like, some people could be like, I hope we can afford you. I'm like, your fee you got to kind of figure that out, especially with COVID. But if you want to get something that you won't feel like you got raped or robbed,
Right.
then you're going to have some stuff in place that, like you said, presents you as a professional, right? So, and I love what you said, your transparency about Groupon. I think that people don't even understand. Like, quiet as is kept. The mall still takes pictures, y'all.
Yes.
Like, I was there. I was going to Children's Place to get my kids some jeans because they're getting big. And I'm like, the picture people still in business. Well, how about that? Even J.C. Penney, they still got, so you might not have it all, but I think that part of being an entrepreneur is that creativity. You might not have, a couple $100 for the complete brand photo shoot, but I swear picture people's like $19.99. Like, you can get like 7 shots. So, be creative. So I love that. Now let me ask you this, because you did mention, some photos. What are some of the other things that people need to have to really kind of present and promote themselves as like a professional speaker?
I think apart from photos and the video reel and the speaker sheet, I think what helps is testimonials, because testimonials help build some sense of social proof of like, you could do what you say that you can do. And so at the beginning, when I was doing like a lot of like free speaking engagements, I would say like, hey, can you do a review for me of like what you thought of having me for this workshop? And so they were like, sure, no problem. And so they would record a video. And then now I have some brand equity to be able to say, like, okay, this is what I do. And it's coming from somebody other than just me saying it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you can brag on yourself, but when other people brag on you, it's 10 times better. So I love that, and I'm gonna go to add this too. And I would love for your insight. Part of one of the biggest assets that I say is, speakers speak, right? And sometimes, we're talking about these assets, but I always want to have a candid conversation with everyone. Definitely reels are great, headshots are amazing, testimonials or reviews are amazing, but some people don't go out and speak until they have all of those things. And I feel like the best way that you can get more speaking opportunities is to speak. And a lot of times, don't believe the hype. Most people have spoken for free before. Like, we're not coming out the gate asking for these astronomical fees.
Right.
Like, we've earned it. So how important do you think it is for people, entrepreneurs, speakers, coaches, authors, to just start speaking before, they have everything together? Because most people are like, wait, I don't have the headshot yet. I don't have the one sheet. I don't have the images. So let me be quiet. Do you feel like they should wait, or do you feel like they should start speaking and building that stuff as they are on the platform or the podium?
I spoke for free for years. For years, I spoke for free. Like at the college counseling center, like I would do workshops on stress management, on time management, and that was just a part of like my job. And then even still now, I do workshops for free. I think the thing is you need to be clear about who is your target market, because
Correct.
you're speaking for free and you're speaking to your target market, then you can sell. Like you can't sell if your target market is business owners and you talk to a room full of kids. Boo, what you gonna sell to the kids? That don't match. Something don't match. And so I think depending on the level that you are in your business, like there's something to be said about just getting started, right? Like something to be said about just get started, speak to whoever will book you when you're getting started, so that you can get some of the brand assets that we're talking about, like the video reel and the pictures of you on stage. And then once you've been speaking for a while, it still can be beneficial to waive your fee if it is target market and you can sell.
Yeah, and absolutely, because one of my business models is just that. I've kind of gotten paid more speaking for free, than anything else. It's just about the business model, or they'll see me speaking and they don't know that previous engagement. And I know that free is the ugly F word in the speaking industry, right? But if you got a plan, right? It's the F word. People don't want to talk about it. Girl, you done speak for free. Now you done cussed at somebody. They clutching their pearls like, oh no. And I've seen so many people literally leave money on the table, because you're right. Like, it doesn't make any sense if you're speaking to, elementary school students, unless the principal's going to pay you. So there's a rhyme and a reason, right? You don't just be out here speaking for free just because, right? But I do feel like part of you getting yourself out there, people getting to know you, and how I even view speaking. I view a lot of my speaking as like the appetizer. And a lot of people is like, come buy this meal, come buy this full meal. And you're like, yo, but I haven't even tasted you yet. Like, let me get a little appetizer. Then if I like the appetizer, we can talk about the full course meal, plus dessert. So I love this. So you have a bunch of different things that you have coming up. You have a virtual conference coming up. Don't you? Tell me a little bit about that.
So one of the things that I was noticing is that speaking has changed since the pandemic, and so there are not a lot of physical stages in the same way that they used to be, like big conferences, because of COVID. And so I was thinking, like, what do speakers need to be able to monetize even during this current season? And so I decided to put on a free virtual summit, the Podium Summit, where we'll have so many amazing speakers talking about things like designing courses, building your brand, how to negotiate for speaking opportunities. And I'm excited that you're going to be speaking for the summit. I'm so excited that you said yes to speaking for the summit. But that's really what it's about, is like really teaching speakers how they can monetize during this current season that we're in.
That's so good. And I love that you're doing that, because a lot of times people are not speaking because they're waiting, wishing, hoping, praying for somebody like a company or corporation to hire them. And here's the real secret, y'all. We're going to let you know, right? Y'all families, we're going to let you into the real secret, right? Me and Dr. Lewis going to let you into the real secret. If nobody's inviting you to speak, you create your own stage.
Mm-hmm.
Some of y'all, that could be foreign language, right? Like you're just like, wait a minute, what? Yeah, you create your own workshop, you create your own summit, you create your own conference, you create your own stage. And let's talk about that for a second. So you've created your stage a couple of times. You've had some great speakers, on your stage. What kind of opportunities has opened up for you specifically by creating stages for other people?
I just love what you said about creating your own stage, because it's like you don't have to wait for somebody to like ding you on the head and say, "You're awesome. You awesome, Black woman." No, you already woke up awesome. And so I think that's one of the things that creating my own stages has allowed. It's allowed for me to collaborate with some super dope, amazing people. Like Lamar Tyler, he's speaking at the summit. Brian Oles is speaking at the summit. We had Nicole Walters last year at the summit. And so it's just relationships. I think people underestimate the currency of relationships. There are doors that relationships have opened that I couldn't pay my way to get inside of. And so I think that if you during this season that we are in COVID, you look at ways that you can collaborate with other people, that you'd be surprised at the opportunities that open up as a result of those relationships. Like, they speak on my stage, I speak on their stage. And then there's money that is established as a result of some of those opportunities. So someone speaks on my stage, and then we'll do an affiliate agreement. And how an affiliate agreement works is a percentage of the sales that are made from the event. Like, I recoup some of the cost of putting on, because it is a cost putting on an event, even though it's free to you guys. Like, everybody that comes to the summit is going to be free for them. There's some cost that we absorb in just putting it on, even though it's virtual, like ads and just so many things that we pay for. So those are some of the benefits, is the collaborations that are established, and the profit, the profit that's made, the sponsorship relationships that we establish.
Yeah, no, that's good stuff. And, affiliate is, I'm getting into that as well. Just because I know I have a great product, and, it is a win-win. If you're introducing someone to a brand new audience and they sign up here, that's marketing that I didn't necessarily have to do. And I tell people all the time, a lot of people see speaking as a couple different ways. I see speaking as lead generation, marketing strategy, revenue stream, right? So it's just like, some people just want to speak, but it's like speaking can be the gateway to sell more of your coaching program. It could be a gateway to sell more of your books. So how do you feel about that? How do you feel like, people who are listening and watching right now, whether they're an author, a speaker, an entrepreneur, how do you feel like they can use speaking to leverage whatever it is that they sell or offer to the world?
I think it's so much power in just deciding. Like, how about let's wake up tomorrow and decide, like, I'm gonna make some money tomorrow. Like, I'm going to do it tomorrow. Some PayPal blings will be established tomorrow. And so yeah, I believe in that. I believe that, we can transform lives, and we can be profitable and make a lot of money in that process. So speaking is definitely a gateway to sell your courses. There's this organization that they do webinars. And so I said, I'm looking at your webinar page, and I don't see any webinars on how to do webinars. Have you considered having somebody come on your platform and teach the therapists on this platform how to do webinars? Because I know a lot of therapists don't know. A lot of therapists
Right.
I don't know how to put on a webinar. I don't know what do I do? How do I bring people to it? So I pitched him, and it was like $3,000 that I made just from 1 hour teaching what I do like every week, webinars. So I think first decide that you can do it. Like, I can make money from my gift, from my voice. And then start reaching out to people, reach out to organizations that you see a gap in the marketplace that you can fill.
Yeah, that's good stuff. And I love it because, you talked about that. And I think that we never know. I get this question all the time, Quinn. How much should I charge for an hour, for 30 minutes? What's there? And it's not a magic number. Because, I mean, even to this day, my mother be like, so let me get this straight. People pay you to talk.
Yeah.
She's like, so let me she don't understand. And if I told her how much, she'll just be like, you lying. Like, you Quinn selling drugs. Like, that's what she's going to believe. Because it doesn't make sense when you look at it, especially coming from a corporate America job. Like, you're used to getting what you get every 2 weeks. And when you realize, like, you mean to me I can make that in an hour? I can make that in 2 hours? Like, call it an honorarium or a speaker fee. So, with your journey, like, how did, you come up with your fees? Like, is it ever evolving? You know what I mean? Like, is it like, because I just feel like it's always interesting and everybody has like their own formula. There is no like calculator you can go to, right? Because even if I say, you know what, I think you're doing amazing, you should charge $7,500 for an hour. If you're scared to say it, they're going to be scared to pay it. So money is also emotional. So how did you come up with, your speaker fee or honorarium?
It definitely has been an evolution, because I remember the first time that I was paid a payment to speak. It was $150, and I was like, oh my God, somebody paid me $150 just to talk about what I talk about every day. Like, I was talking about like relationships, and I just could not believe that they would have paid me $150 just to grab the mic and talk. And so that's like me out the gate, first ever getting paid. It was mind blowing to me. And so then I went through this season of like just cover my travel, because I love to travel. I've gone like on a 6-month backpacking experience, 14 countries. I love to travel.
Yes.
So I was like, just pay for my travel to come to the event. And I was good with that. Pay for my flight to Hawaii. I will speak for free all day in Hawaii. Just give me a few days on the beach and I will make that thing work for me. So now it's between like $3,000 to $10,000. And it just depends on a lot of different things. It depends on if it's a corporation. Corporations have the ability to write bigger checks than the church would. And I do speak at churches, but they don't have the budget to write $10,000 checks. Just typically they don't. And so I think probably take that into account. Who is the audience that you're speaking to? If you're speaking to a nonprofit, they may not be able to write the same check that a corporation would, that has a line item budget dedicated to speaking and training. I think the other thing that I consider in the rate that I quote is the length of time, whether it's a keynote or whether it's a full day training. Those things can have an impact on my rate. Um, I like to speak about the same thing. Like, I don't like to just do a whole lot of different random talks about different things. And I would say that you guys should consider that as well, as having a niche. Niches work really well because first off, it saves you time. So you're not creating a whole speech every time that you talk. Because if I have to craft a new talk segmented for a particular audience and craft it just for them, then they have to pay more for that, because that's going to involve more of my time and putting on training, as opposed to putting on like like what you do, the virtual business card. Like, if you talk about that, you probably just wake up in the morning and just teach on it without thinking about it, right? And so versus if I'm doing a custom talk, that's going to involve more of my time. So also things like travel, you have to include that in your speaker fee. So I think those are some of the variables that you want to take into account in what you charge. Is, do I have to travel? Is it my target market? Because the reason why that's important, if it's your target market, it's much more easier to sell to your target market. And then you also want to take into account length of time. Like keynote is usually a more premium rate because it's a level of edutainment that happens in a keynote versus when you're doing a training, that's different. So those are some of the variables. And then that's kind of my rate journey.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. And it's so interesting because everybody has, you said the keyword journey, right? And you can't necessarily compare, your day 7 to Dr. Laura's year 7, right? So everybody has all had to kind of figure, this thing out. I remember the first time I got paid $750. I was like, I quit. I'm dropping out of college and I'm going to speak. Because you couldn't tell me $750 wasn't like, my friends was getting $750 during work study. So $750 one time, I'm like, but then I was like, okay, it was a little bit difficult to get it consistently. That's the thing. You might get that $5,000 check or $6,000 check or even $2,500, but it's like, how can you repeat that? Like, what's the rinse and repeat? And that's why as a speaker, you definitely want to have something to sell. You got to have a coaching, a product, a service, things like that. And if you guys are just joining, I'm having a conversation with Dr. Laura Lois. We're talking about how you can go from the couch to the podium. And if you're liking this conversation so far, make sure you go ahead and go to speakblackwoman.com or go to quinconyers.com. Click on events. I'm having a Speak Black Woman experience where I will be celebrating the birth of my second book. It's called Speak Black Woman, How Women in business can profit from public speaking. And I'm also going to show you how you can give your current message a makeover with a verbal business card. Because that again, like Dr. Laura Lois mentioned, like you got to have that signature talk that you talk about all the time. And I talk about how you introduce yourself. How do you show up? How do you tell people what you do? Because if you just say, I'm a psychologist or I'm a speaker, I'm an author, it ain't sexy enough. You got to do that in such a way that really gets people in. And I know for a fact that I've gotten a lot of clients because they haven't overlooked me. And they haven't overlooked me because I'm able to introduce myself in a way that grabs your attention, that requires you to lean in. Right? So you can want to learn a little bit more. So you also have something coming up. So people want to connect with you or go to the Couch to the Podium virtual event. Where can they do that at, Dr. Laura Lois?
You can go to couchtopodium.com and that's how you can register. So we're having a free summit. It's going to be all about how you can book more paid speaking opportunities and how you can just really monetize your voice, because there's so many ways that I monetize my voice right now. Like I just did an interview for ABC last week, and then I'm sharing at the end, like, this is how we can work together. And then a bunch of people come in like, all right, I want to work with you. And so I think media is a great way to monetize your voice. You just have to have a solid back end, meaning a solid way of following up with those leads.
Yeah.
Talking about that at the summit.
A back end. Listen, that's a whole nother thing, right? Because you can make money on the front end of speaking, you can make money on the back. I like the back end because the back end, can be a little bit more than what that front end would be. So many people are focused on, let me get this $1,000, let me get this $2,500. But if you, got the right back end system, that $2,500 can turn into $25,000 if you do it right. But a lot of people don't know that. So again, if you want to know that, where can they go? You said couchtothepodium.com.
couchtopodium.com. You can go to couchtopodium.com. And then I also have a Facebook group. It's called Paid to Speak.
Yep.
About 3,000 speakers in there. And so I just do different like Facebook lives on topics. Like anytime I get asked a question more than once, I'm like, let me just record a video on this. So it's probably about like 300 videos inside of that community on everything from setting rates, marketing, sales. So you can check it out on Facebook. It's called Paid to Speak.
Awesome. Cherie says, 2 of my favorite ladies. Robin says she is a part of the tribe. So excited that you guys are here. And guess what? Can you believe it's 4:30 that quick?
gosh.
Like, I need more time with you, Dr. Laura. I need more time. But, I try to respect that, just that 30 minutes, and it goes by so quickly, when you're talking to people. But I want to thank you for stopping by the Speak Black Woman podcast. I look forward to being a part of your lineup for Couch to the Podium, just doing some amazing things. And let people know one more time, if they want to get connected with you or learn more about your Facebook group, where's the best way they can reach Dr. Laura Lois after today's interview?
So you can go to, if you're on Facebook, then just put in Paid to Speak, and that's the Facebook group, and then couchtopodium.com. That's how you can find information about the summit.
Okay, awesome. Well, listen, y'all, you just heard from Dr. Laura Lois, and you're based out of Atlanta, correct?
Yes, I'm in Atlanta.
Okay, and she's in Atlanta, and again, just awesome and amazing, just a superstar in the speaking industry. Always like to be connected. She's also part of the BSN community, y'all. So anything that Brian Olds got his name attached to, my name was attached to as well. So yeah, I just wanted to introduce you to some awesome and amazing people that I know, and she's definitely one of those people. So I want to personally thank you for joining me, and everyone who was tuning in or even catching the replay. Thank you so much. So with that being said, you just witnessed another episode of the Speak Black Woman podcast. You are still officially quarantining with Quinn. And if you like what you had to hear, go to speakblackwoman.com. And if you want to be a part of the Speak Black Woman experience that is happening on May 22nd, go to quinnconyers.com and click on events. Other than that, thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next Wednesday, 4:00 Eastern Standard Time, for another episode of the Speak Black Woman podcast. Have a great day, y'all. Talk to you later.